Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
We one game away. Blow up. We playing for something, man. We playing for something. This gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2 3. 1 2 3. Finish.
We got a loaded fucking show. I was just watching this shit though. We got a loaded show, but listen. I was just watching I was just on YouTube. It's funny that I say this, cutting off one story to start another story. I was just talking with my aunt a couple of days ago, and she was talking about how she wouldn't ever buy no game system or whatever, because how a TV can do all that, like her smart TV do. And I was like, well, I mean, technically my Xbox do everything that your smart TV do. The only difference is I just don't use shit on the Xbox except for YouTube. Like, when Zack Snyder's Justice League dropped, I used had hot dogs for dinner. Pause. I ain't saying pause every time I had hot dogs for dinner, yo. Y'all just gonna have to grow up, man. But I watched the Zack Snyder shit on HBO Max. After that shit, never got HBO Max again. I mean, I was on MLB The Show, obviously, a lot last year. But I stopped playing that in December. Probably before December, to be honest with you. Like, after they dropped The Finest, like 3 weeks after Finest, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much done with this game. I don't play, really. Halo was whack to me. Halo Infinite is just not hitting for me right now. I don't play Apex anymore. I don't play Fortnite, even though I think Fortnite's a dope game. I think Apex done become a doper game than it was when I played it. I'm just not getting back onto it. See, these type of games, what you got to understand is, unless you some ultra god level player, you can't just walk away from these games and come back and think you're gonna be good again in a good time frame. Like, I'm very good at Apex, and I if I really came back to Apex, sat down and legitimately, learned all the new shit that they got in Apex, learned all the new weapons and shit like that, and sat down and got re-familiar with the game and whatnot, I'm pretty certain that I'd be straight within a month. I mean, could be sooner if I really was sitting down, dedicating long hours to the game like I used to. Like, I'm talking about, I used to come home from work, be on Apex for like 6-7 hours straight. That's after, not 6-7, probably about 4 or 5 hours straight. Dead ass. Like, just 4 hours straight on most nights. I just be on it. If I'm really not tired, I'm on that bit 5 hours straight. Like, it's some nights where I'm on that shit so long, like the night done become day, and I have to force myself to get at least 3 hours of sleep. That's how heavy I used to be on that shit. I'm never gonna be on that game like that ever again. But if I was to come back to the game and get on like that, I could get good in the game again in probably about 2 weeks. However, other than that, I don't use my Xbox for really shit but YouTube. Like, YouTube is everything. And so, like I said, my Xbox do everything that Roku TV and all that other shit them smart TVs do. It's just like the Fire Stick. Xbox do all that shit. And it ain't like those apps on those sticks and shit is free. You still gotta pay subscriptions and shit like that. Which, listen, personally, I don't think most of these subscriptions is worth it. A lot of this shit on there is like you paying for subscriptions to watch like 1 or 2 things on these apps and shit. Like, maybe I'm just so hard to please, but I mean, this free shit that I'm watching on YouTube is way better than the shit that I gotta pay to watch on these apps and shit. Mind you, if you paying for your own Netflix account, that's tough. I can't not remember the last time I was paying. Mind you, I don't even use the Netflix accounts that I have access to. I have access to a Netflix account, HBO Max account, a Hulu account, and what's that other one? Is it Vudu? No, it's Hulu Live. And I don't use any of those shits. Because my family don't do cable. Like, we basically done been, we like fuck cable. That's why I gotta find a way to fucking watch the WWE Raw and SmackDown on an app, bro. Like, when WWE had their own app, they didn't fucking have neither show on the app. Like, you couldn't watch them live. You had to watch them next day. And Peacock don't got the shit when it's live. And I understand these networks should have, I mean, like, they got the, you know, Fox got access to the show when it's live, and USA got access to Raw when it's live. But fuck, if they had apps, they should put the fucking show on their apps when they go live. Cause dead ass, if not for Raw and SmackDown, I wouldn't use cable. Like, I would have been done with cable years ago if it wasn't for that. I just can't find a fucking way to watch neither one of these shows, man. But I hopped into that story. Stopping another story that I was hopping into. But listen, before I hopped on this shit, I was on YouTube. And I was watching the Detroit survival dude. His daughter do this shit now. This dude gotta be doing this for like entertainment now. Like, this is a hustle now. Like, this is definitely a money maker now. Like, this can't be real no more. Like, he know this shit ain't gonna help nobody. Like, if a motherfucker coming up to you with the intentions of pulling the trigger regardless, you probably dead. Unless you just can survive a gunshot. But, like, he do know most of this shit ain't working, right? And now he put his daughter in this. That's got me thinking, like, he really know this shit not working, right? Like, this gotta be, they like, his daughter in this shit confirming, like, this shit is just for jokes, right? I was just curious. But listen, biggest news of free agency until Bobby Wagner signed with the Ravens, because I'm waiting on that. Listen, Tom fucking Brady is back. I told you, bro, Brady was not about to let these pencil pushing motherfuckers ruin his retirement, bro. I told you. I said it on the thing, and this is so beautiful, because deep down, I don't know if I mentioned it on the show at any point in time. I'm pretty sure I did. But deep down, so I got a whole bunch of slides, right, that I made for Tom Brady in his retirement. Like, I got a shit ton, and I never deleted them, and I also never made a video dedicated to Tom Brady in his retirement. So I never used the slides. I used one of the slides one time on a video that I had did, and it was like Brady, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know one of the slides I used was going to be a part of the thing. But the reason I never did the slides and I never put out the legitimate Tom Brady tribute video was because I thought he was going to come back. Deep down, something told me, like, bruh, it's no way this motherfucker is actually going to retire. And the biggest reason I had thought that, for one, when he had said what he had said about, you know, wanting to be with his family and whatnot, that had convinced me that, yeah, this probably isn't it. But after Adam Schefter, old buddy, announced that he was retiring before he announced that he was retiring, in my mind, I was like, it's no way the GOAT of GOATs going out like that. It's no fucking way Thomas Edward Patrick Brady, the GOAT, is going to allow two pencil pushing motherfuckers who never played the game to ruin his retirement, bruh. And I remember seeing fans like, oh, y'all mad at Adam Schefter for doing his job. Man, shut the fuck up. That's how you know when people ignorant. They bitch about shit Adam Schefter do on a regular basis, but because they want to go against the grain right now and be a dickhead, now they agree with Adam Schefter, and all of a sudden they want him to be able to do his job. But every other day they don't give a fuck about him doing his job. They bitch and complain about him. Yeah, we're not talking about those jackasses. Most people, most fans, I hate using the word fans because y'all know how I feel about fans, but most smart, well-rounded individuals and fans understood Tom Brady should have been allowed to announce his own fucking retirement. And they stole that from him. And that shit bothered me. So I know that shit bothered Tom. I know it bothered him. It's no way that it didn't. I'm telling you, when that shit happened, I legit kept telling myself, it's no way he gonna go out like this. It's no way. Like, why would he let these two motherfuckers ruin his last send-off, like his send-off, his walk-off? Why would he let them ruin that shit? No shot. And he sat on that shit for 2 months. He had the kids asking him how to do homework. He had to come home, watch his kids be great at everything but football. And he said, fuck this shit. I'm back. And I knew it was going to happen. I really started feeling that way too once the people started reporting like, oh, Tom Brady might come back to different teams and shit. And now, mind you, I never thought if he came back he was going to, not come back to... I might have said something entertaining that or something, but I never thought he was coming back unless it was to the Bucks. Like, for one, why would BA stay if Tom Brady... Like, that's really one of the things that made me think he was coming back also. Because... why would BA stay when he was trying to retire a couple years ago? Why would he stay now without Brady and without the like knowing he was going to get a trade for like a top quarterback or whatnot? And I really didn't think BA was going to make a trade for Deshaun Watson because of the AB situation. I'm pretty sure I said something about that on the previous show. But maybe he had with him for Garoppolo or somebody. It all makes sense now. And it's no way that BA didn't fucking know. Like, Brady had to have called him at some point in time and told him like he was contemplating coming back. Now, the great thing about Brady doing what he did is he announced it on Sunday. So Monday, like, this give free agents time now to like quickly just say like, okay, if we wanted to come back to Tampa, if we wasn't sure, now we sure we can come back because Brady back. Now, that might not lead to dudes taking long-term deals because you definitely out of the Deshaun Watson thing now. Like, I didn't think they was going to get him anyways, but they definitely not getting him now because he'll be traded to a team. And from what it's looking like, or sounding like at least from when you listening to the reports and shit, Deshaun Watson is going to either be a Carolina Panther or a New Orleans Saint. And I personally believe, now I could care less which team he go to. I mean, I think he would be good in both for either team. I'm glad that he out of the the AFC, to be honest with you. However, if I had to make a choice, like on which team between the Saints and Panthers, also Brady is in that division, so this is going to be very interesting. If I had a decision on which team I'd send him to, I am not a fan of Matt Rule. But I would send him to Carolina because of the fans. Now, you got to understand how much I like the fans if I'm saying something like this, because of how much I kill fans or dog fans. But Carolina Panther fans, to me, some of the most loyal fans I've ever seen. The way they rode for Cam Newton throughout this entirety of this ordeal with him dealing with the Panthers, the way they vocalized how pissed off they was that Carolina threw him to the wayside when they started a new regime and whatnot, how they talked about how Cam put his body on the line for this team for multiple years and they didn't like how Carolina treated him on the way out, the way that they could have cared less how good or bad Cam was, they just wanted him to be able to go out and on his own terms. The way they did not like how Carolina replaced him with Sam Darnold or all the other dudes they replaced him with, how they kept saying we want Cam as our quarterback. Like, all season, all they did was defend Cam Newton. And they did it before this season. It started the moment he was released from this team or traded away from this team, whatever it was, when Carolina hold him with the release by releasing him so late in the free agency. Knowing the entire time they was going to release him, but wait until everybody got signed before they released him. So, to me, just based off of how loyal the fans were to Cam Newton, how much respect they show Cam Newton, because basically, what you want from your fans is not, you don't want your fans to cheer for you just because you're great, because then that's not real love, because they only rooting for you if you're great. If you have fans that only root for you because you are great, you got to understand that when you're not great no more in their eyes, then those cheers won't be the same. They won't be as loud. They will start booing you. Because if you don't see, this is a great comparison. Russell Westbrook would not be going through what he's going through right now in LA if he was still in OKC. Because OKC didn't give a fuck about how good Russ was anymore. He stayed when Durant left. So it's not about his skill no more to the fans in OKC. He got their heart now. Because Durant left us. Russ stayed. So he can miss 40 fucking shots. And they won't give a fuck. It's still Russell Westbrook fans to this day. That's OKC fans that root for Russ and go hard for him. But Russ in LA, he don't have their heart. Russ in Brooklyn, Russ in Houston, Russ in Washington, he don't got their heart. They like you if you play good. And when you don't, he don't have the heart of these other teams. So when you don't play good, they could care less about how he feel. They gonna boo him. They gonna taunt him. That won't happen in OKC because he got their hearts. That's, you know what I'm saying, that's basically this situation. That was a great comparison. Like, I ain't trying to toot my own horn or nothing like that. But that was great how I thought about that shit, dead ass. I like how I thought about that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Today was a big day. Give me a second real fast. Today, a lot of things happened today. Obviously, Brady, the biggest news, like I said. And I'm going to get back to Carolina fans in a minute. I didn't forget about we was talking about Carolina fans. In fact, let me just go ahead and finish it. All the shit I said about Carolina Panther fans is why I think they deserve Deshaun Watson. Just because of how hard they rode for Carolina. Cam Newton had their hearts. Like I said about Russ. So, mind you, Cam Newton really don't get trashed or booed by teams around the league. But Carolina Panther fans was one of the first fan bases that could care less. They one of the fan bases, they didn't care about how good or bad Cam was. They loved Cam because that's what they knew. They saw how he put his body on the line for them, how hard he worked for them. Each and every fucking week. That's what you want as an athlete. And honestly, when you think about it, that's what you want as a human. You know, so many people get in relationships that ain't based on like people liking you for you. You like them because of what they can do for you. And if you in a relationship with somebody or you like somebody because of what they can do for you, the moment in which they can no longer do for you what they do for you that makes you like them, you're going to start having second guesses. You're going to start feeling a certain type of way. You're going to start looking at somebody who can do what they use to what that person could do for you that they can no longer do. You're going to look for somebody who can do that. So you should never be with somebody who like you. That's why I say fans who love you just purely based off of, obviously you're going to get love if you're a great player. But do you think Sasha Vujacic is like some all-star level player? That's one of my favorite players. Jordan Farmar, Shannon Brown. You shouldn't just like players because of greatness, the level of greatness. Because once that start to fade, you're going to disconnect from them and start booing them and shit. Unless they touch you in a different type of way. So because of that alone, I think Carolina deserved Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson paid attention to how they treated Cam Newton, he would easily say, we want Cam Newton. I want to be in Carolina. Like, based off of how they treated Cam Newton out in his prime and when he was no longer in his prime, I want to be in Carolina because I know that's a fan base that's going to ride for me. Now, I'm not saying that New Orleans wasn't the same. They clearly rode for Drew Brees, but it wasn't really hard to ride for Drew Brees, and I understand his last 2 or 3 seasons, or 2, 3 or 4 seasons. I don't think it was 4. I think it was really his last 2 to 3 seasons where he really couldn't really throw the ball really up the field consistently anymore. They didn't boo him or nothing like that, but obviously you still, it's just not hard to love a player like Drew Brees who done accomplished what he done accomplished. And I respect that a lot of New Orleans fans held his ass to the fire once he came out with that goofy ass statement where he tried to, basically it was a Trump type statement. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't have to rehash that. But, I'm pretty sure the Saints fans is, dope ass fans. But just what I see from Carolina fans, what I saw from Carolina fans over the last couple years, that is a fan base, in my opinion. If I ever said fans deserve a player because of, how they acted, this would be that situation where I'm like, just based off of how they treated Cam Newton, still to this day, I would love to see Deshaun Watson go ball out in Carolina. Plus, he went to Clemson. That's in North Carolina. So, hey, now he'll be in Charlotte. It'll be a dope little situation. I would love to see Deshaun Watson in Carolina. Now, if he went to New Orleans, he would have Alvin Kamara, who is not injury prone like Christian McCaffrey. Also, he have Michael Thomas, who is a better receiver than DJ Moore, who everybody keep telling me is underrated. I'm actually more so in the bin of overrated, just based off of how everybody keep trying to tell me he underrated. Like, bro, I'm not getting into this. Because it's gonna sound like I'm attacking DJ Moore, and I'm not attacking DJ Moore. I'm attacking all these bozos who continue to yell out underrated, 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 underrated. Bro, everybody cannot be underrated. Like, bro, if you pop, you do know it's good receivers who can pop 1,000 yards or close to it every season, who are not Pro Bowl level receivers. You can play. Do you think Juju Smith-Schuster is a Pro Bowl level receiver? Because he didn't put up a monster season. I'm just saying. Michael Gallup, do you think he is a Pro Bowl level receiver? Shout out to him. He just got a signed contract, an extended contract with and he got a. Bro, man, let me read this fucking deal. Because I remember looking at Michael Gallup's contract. Yeah, 5 years, $62.5 million as a receiver. A good receiver. He done been a Pro Bowl level receiver, I believe. That is a great deal for the Cowboys. I mean, you can't even be mad at them for trading Amari Cooper. For one, they was going to release him. So I understand people saying, oh, they got Amari for nothing. I mean, if you going to release a dude and you end up getting the 5th round, I mean, they was never going to get nothing. Anybody who thought that Amari Cooper was going to get traded for anything more, at the most, a 4th round pick, you're crazy. When the announcement came out that they were thinking about releasing him, or they were more than likely going to release him, then that automatically killed his trade value. Because teams knew if we don't trade for him, he's still going to get released and we'll take our chances in the bidding war. The Browns took a shot in the dark and it worked. And if you're the Cowboys and you can get off of Amari's contract and get a team-friendly contract like what you just gave Michael Gallup, I cannot imagine that Michael Gallup's contract is going to hurt this team in the next, 2 years or so. Also, you're going to end up giving CeeDee Lamb a long-term contract down the line anyways. I don't care for people who say they don't think he's a number 1 receiver. I think CeeDee Lamb is a number 1 receiver. This year is going to be a big part of his growth because now he's going to be looked at as the number 1. But it's not like he's going to go out there and have to do it by himself because he still got Zeke, you still got Pollard, you still have Dalton Schultz, you still have Michael Gallup if he can come back healthy. So you still got multiple things that won't. This is the perfect scenario for a number 1 receiver because you don't have to, like, if Devontae Adams, you take out CeeDee Lamb, replace him with Devontae Adams. Speaking of Devontae Adams, he done informed the Packers that he ain't playing on a franchise tag, and I agree with him because Devontae Adams in his last 5 years done been an All-Pro twice and a Pro Bowler all 5 years, and done been considered the best receiver in the league for probably about the last 3 to 4 years. It's no reason he should not have gotten a contract extension by now. It's no reason he should not be the highest paid receiver in the NFL by this point in time. It's no reason that Christian Kirk just signed to become the 3rd highest paid receiver in the league and Devontae Adams can't get his deal done yet. So, hey, and he got franchise tagged, so he can't even go out and get the deal. And I told you, I don't like franchise tags. I think they should take franchise tags out of any sport, the NFL especially, because you should not have, if I have a great season and this team does not want to pay me or does not know if they want to pay me right now, I should be able to leave and go search for a team that will pay me right now, that will take the chance on me right now and pay me money, because I'm losing money when I get franchise tagged. It don't matter how much the franchise tag is. If I somehow have a down year compared to what I just had, or get hurt, God forbid, then I will not get the contract that I am looking for because you franchise tag me against my will. That should not be allowed to happen. I do not like that. So if Devontae Adams was in a situation like CeeDee Lamb is, do you know how even like his numbers could take a hit because it is so much around him, but then again he could absolutely go crazy. Because like look at Julio. Julio, he was the best receiver in the league for a long time. Look at what was around him to make sure. Not people still doubled Julio and stuff like that. But when you have the weapons that Julio had around him for a long part of his career, like the great help that he had around him, whether it be a running back, tight end, other receivers, that helps so that other guys do their job. You got dudes who do their job at a high level, who you can rely on, which makes it that much easier for you. I say the Lions had multiple weapons, multiple years. I don't even want to use them because Stafford at that time, it didn't even matter who you put around them. He just kept throwing to Megatron. Like he threw it in double coverage, triple coverage. Like it could be damn near the whole secondary on him and he still throw it to Megatron. So I to me that one really don't count. Because I could say you throw like give a different quarterback possibly, or maybe a more mature Matthew Stafford, because young Matthew Stafford, bro, you're just not convincing me that young Matthew Stafford wasn't the problem at times. Like it's no way. But because of the surroundings of CeeDee Lamb, I think this is gonna be perfect for Dallas. Like I said, for Dallas, it's gonna be about Dak Prescott at the end of the day. You have everything you need. And ultimately, it was a smart decision to trade Amari Cooper for the simple reason. I mean, look at what they have right now. This is a great supporting cast and whatnot. This is phenomenal. Like this to me, if I had to grade this offense, I would give it an A or A+. Even with the subtraction of Amari Cooper. Now, speaking of Amari Cooper, he gets sent to the Browns, and you add Amari Cooper, you take away Jarvis Landry. Good Lord have mercy. So that alone got me thinking like the Browns are going to be even worse than, like, I don't understand the getting rid of how bringing over Amari Cooper didn't convince Jarvis Landry to stay. But now that you don't release, because they gave him permission to go out and seek another team to go to, then they just released him today. Now Donovan Peoples-Jones, Austin Hooper, and these are good players, and Njoku's still there, but it's Baker. Before the end of the season, at some point in time, people are going to be like, oh, Amari not doing his job or something. Baker, to me, you take away all these weapons. And listen, to Cleveland, you can't afford to keep all these dudes at a certain point in time. But the fact that they keep finding ways to change pieces in and out, and you got to remember, they motherfuckers still got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the backfield. Cleveland done so much for Baker Mayfield, man. I just think if Kareem Hunt, if Nick Chubb don't have a crazy season and they have to rely on Baker Mayfield having a great season, then it's just going to be chalked. As good as I think Amari Cooper is, eventually he'll get tired of getting overthrown, underthrown, not passed to. Now, granted, this could be a season of him just trying to force the ball down Amari's throat, seeing as how that's going to be by far his best receiver. But if Baker Mayfield can operate within Kevin Stefanski's system, unless Kevin Stefanski just make it so that Amari Cooper is the main target every play, then you really won't have to worry about him force feeding Amari, because that's not how Kevin Stefanski's offense works. He give you multiple targets to work with because it's going to be run off of his run game dominating. If his run game is dominating, you'll probably have two dudes wide open when you run into play action. I just think Baker Mayfield is just not that great. And when you tell me that, okay, you give me Amari, but you take away Jarvis Landry, well, I'm like, well, shit. That's subtraction by subtraction. So I really don't know how to take that situation. Because I think Austin Hooper is a good tight end. But he ain't Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, George Kittle. He ain't changing the game. He ain't changing multiple games throughout a season. Every game they go into, it ain't nobody saying no, the game plan is to stop Austin Hooper. If he have a breakout day or start going crazy, then yeah, you might change the defense coverages to solve that problem. But he ain't coming into a game like a Mark Andrews or a Travis Kelce where people saying, okay, we got to stop them off rip. If Baker don't make it better. That's what you got to really understand about this Cleveland Browns team. And maybe that's my biggest problem, or I think that's their biggest problem at the end of the day. Baker Mayfield don't make nobody better. Kareem Hunt make the game, not Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb make the game easier for Baker, as does Kevin Stefanski. But when you trying to see who get the most out of these dudes, it's Kevin Stefanski. If Kevin Stefanski call a great game, then he's going to get the most out of people. He's going to make people seem better than they actually are based off of how the game is going. Baker Mayfield don't make players better. He don't up people's game. If anything, most people get shitted on while playing with Baker. Most people get talked about while playing with Baker. Most people's skills come into question while playing with Baker. He got the opposite effect that you would want your quarterback to have on your receiver. So, hey, we shall see how this season goes. Speaking of this season for the Browns, let's stay in the AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers just signed Mitchell Trubisky to a 2-year contract. Now, I joked on Twitter that instantly Mitchell Trubisky was the third best quarterback in the division, with Lamar and Joe Burrow being 1 and 2 and a distant 1 and 2, and Baker being the fourth best quarterback in the division. But I was just saying that to be a dickhead. I actually think Baker Mayfield, at this current moment, yeah, he probably a little bit better than Mitchell Trubisky, but I really don't know how great Mitchell Trubisky really is, because I ain't watching Chicago when Mitchell Trubisky was there a ton, because that was a bad offense. And I understand Nagy didn't really take advantage of Mitchell Trubisky's skill sets and whatnot, but Mitchell Trubisky don't really have he don't really have a strong arm. Like, obviously, if you're a quarterback, you got an arm, but it ain't like, I'm not trying to compare it to Pat Mahomes and nobody, but it's just not as strong as, some of the elite quarterbacks. I don't think he is accurate as some of the elite quarterbacks. I don't think he really read defenses as great as some of the elite quarterbacks. So how you would want one of your elite quarterbacks to read defenses? I think Mitchell Trubisky, and see, one of the things that you see when quarterbacks play in a system that really is a bad system and they can't overcome the bad system, that really lets you know that quarterback either is probably not that great as far as he can't really stand on his own talent alone. Because it is some quarterbacks who play in bad systems who you can see, he played for a shitty coach in a bad system, but this motherfucker is talented. I can see how great he is because of his talent, even though he playing in a shit situation. Mitchell Trubisky's talent, to me, never outshined the shit situation he was in. I never watched Mitchell Trubisky and said to myself, man, the Bears fucking suck, the offense and the calling and shit suck, but Mitchell Trubisky a good quarterback. No. When I saw Fields this year, there was times where I was like, man, this is a bad coach and a bad run team, but the fucking Justin Fields got promise. I never saw that when I watched Mitchell Trubisky. So, as much as I would like to just shit on Baker and say he the worst quarterback in the division, I actually think it might be Mitch, because when you constantly, talking about, the offense don't work, this system ain't working for them, they not utilizing them right. What, to me, all you really saying is this dude needs a great coach and system in order for his skills to shine, because he can't stand on his own talents. His own talents aren't elite enough to say, like Joe Burrow, for example. Zach Taylor is not a good head coach, but Joe Burrow is so talented. His talent, he was able to stand on his own talent and overcome the coaching, even though I don't think Joe Burrow is even as great as some people keep. If you go, and I'm not shitting on Joe Burrow is a top 10 quarterback. My problem with Joe Burrow is when you start to put him over dudes like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I do not think Joe Burrow is better than either of those two quarterbacks, but I do think Joe Burrow got a better offensive weapons than both of them, and it's not even close when it comes to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's weaponry is nowhere near good as Buffalo's, or let alone the Bengals. The Bengals have T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is a number one receiver. T. Higgins might not be a number one receiver, but he is a number two for sure. And a damn good number two who is playing a number three receiver role. Tyler Boyd was good before Jamar Chase got there. Jamar Chase is there now. And Jamar Chase, now if I'm wrong, I will go back and recheck the stats. But I vividly remember, it's one of them two motherfuckers, T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd. And I believe it's Tyler Boyd, who was already, to me, a number one receiver. The way I treat DJ Moore, to tell me he underrated. That's how I was telling motherfuckers about Tyler Boyd. Like, this is an underrated ass receiver. T. Higgins is the big dude who really could. It seemed like all these dudes can beat you going down the field, but T. Higgins really is like the big receiver who you would think is just working the intermediate routes and shit, picking up the big downs. But so when you have a legitimate number two receiver in T. Higgins, in my opinion, a legitimate number one in Tyler Boyd, and then you add a legitimate certified number one in Jamar Chase, well, now you got a situation like I said in Dallas on those old Atlanta teams, where you got a quarterback who is great. And this, anytime you have a quarterback, he don't even have to be an elite quarterback like a Joe Burrow or a Matt Ryan was back in those times. All he got to do is be above average. And you done seen above average quarterbacks when you put them in systems or on teams with this much talent. Nick Foles did it with the Eagles. When you have that much talent, it don't matter if the Eagles' talent continued to be talented after that year or before that year. That year, all those dudes played up to high levels. You look at this Bengals team, Joe Burrow don't even have to be as elite as he was last year. Even though I continue to tell people, go back and look at some of the stats. Some of his best throws was just wide open throws, or dudes who was catching short routes, making a whole bunch of people miss going for deep. But that's neither here nor there. Joe Burrow, because he is an above average quarterback, and he's a far above average quarterback. I don't want to make it seem like he just barely above average. No. Joe Burrow's elite. But look at the talent. The man got a great running back in Joe Mixon who can run and catch. His offensive line is trash. I give you that. But the defense played great throughout the playoffs and played great at times last year. And when you have that, and CJ Uzama, he just signed with a different team. I believe it was either the Jags or the Jets. I got to go back and check that. But when you had that much talent around him, like, people don't really realize, to me, Tyler Boyd was playing your number two receiver, and he is a number one. Do you know how hard it is to stop a team that have two number ones with one number one playing the number two role and a number two that is playing the number three role? Do you know how hard it is to stop a team like that with a great tight end or a good tight end and a great running back? You don't need that much time. That's why it was funny that people kept going crazy, because you really don't need that much time in the pocket when you got that type of core. Because, bro, you have a legitimate number two receiver being defended by probably the third or fourth best cornerback or a linebacker. Yeah, you're going to win a lot of matchups on a lot of weeks, and it's going to look real crazy at times. So, the AFC North going to be pretty nuts. AFC North's going to be pretty nuts. But let's get into some of these signings, man. Chase Edmonds, he leaves the Cardinals. He is headed to the Dolphins on a 2-year deal worth $12.6 million. Emmanuel Ogbah, he is headed to he's staying with the Dolphins. 4 years, $65 million, $32 million guaranteed. We got Jarvis Landry released. I already said that. James Conner, he's staying with the Cardinals on a 3-year deal. Now, the total value of the contract can get all the way up to $25.5 million. But the base, I guess they said, was $21 million. $13.5 million guaranteed. Mitchell Trubisky got a 2-year deal. I did not write his numbers down. Kirk Cousins, the king of deals. A year extension, fully guaranteed $35 million. This motherfucker is a hustler. You need to learn, if you want to learn how to do business, learn from this motherfucker Kirk Cousins. This motherfucker do not pay for free. His services are fully guaranteed. Kirk Cousins at this time next year, I read a report, will have made $50 million fully guaranteed. This motherfucker Kurt is a baller. He said, y'all can keep signing for these exorbitant contracts, trying to keep one up in each other and shit. Yeah, buddy, I signed for guaranteed, fully guaranteed. Not a cent on this contract is up for grabs. All of it is going to be fully guaranteed. Motherfucker, I can go out here and throw 20 interceptions. Don't matter. My shit guaranteed, bruh. That's G. Cousin Kirk on a different level. Quandre Diggs, stud safety for the Seattle Seahawks. 3 years, $40 million. Did not check on his guaranteed money. Larry Ogunjobi, 3-year deal, $40 million, $26.35 million guaranteed. He signed with the Chicago Bears. Tracy Walker. Larry Ogunjobi is a great signing. Most people don't know who that is. He was with the Bengals. He the one who got hurt in the playoffs at DT. He used to be a big dude. He's still big, but he lost a whole bunch of weight, like got into crazy looking shape. You can go look that up. Great player, though. That's a great signing by Chicago. Tracy Walker, great young safety for the Detroit Lions. He got a 3-year extension, $25 million, $17 million guaranteed. The Panthers released A.J. Boye. The Packers released Zadarius Smith. The Bucks re-signed Ryan Jensen to a 3-year deal worth $39 million. I do not have the guarantees in front of me. Michael Gallup re-signed with the Cowboys for 5 years, $62.5 million. Don't have the guarantees in front of me. The Eagles take Hassan Reddick, the outside pass rusher from the Panthers. He signed a 3-year deal worth $45 million. $30 million guaranteed, and the total value can get all the way up to $49.5 million. Those are all the fucking signings that I have sitting right in front of me right here. Now, some more signings could have happened while I was not paying attention to the signings, I guess you could say. But we'll get to those when we get to those on another episode, when those are in front of me. Those are the signings that were made today. Baltimore need to go ahead and fucking sign. Today was the legal tampering, they call it. It's kind of what they call it, what would you call this? A redundant sentence, I guess you would say, or a redundant statement. What would they call it? Because, like, tampering is illegal, but this is legal tampering, so then it shouldn't be called tampering, because the word tampering means it's an illegal thing. So I don't know. I don't know. But either way, I'm happy everybody getting their money. Happy everybody getting their fucking money. Can't wait till the Ravens start making moves. But here we wait. The NFC just got a lot interesting, especially if Deshaun Watson goes to Carolina, because, or the Saints, really, it don't matter which one he go to. The fact that if he go to a team, and I read a report that said he done decline every team, because he got a no trade clause. He done decline every, meaning he can pick the team. He done decline every team except for the Carolina Panthers and the Saints. Now, I don't know how true that statement is. That's just a statement I read. Now, with that being said, now the brilliance of Brady coming back combined with this is the NFC is wide open. Not really wide open. To me, at first, it was a two-team race with the Packers, with Aaron Rodgers coming back, and with the Rams. I was taking the Rams, however, because and with Seattle trading away Russ, I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. Some people might say, oh, well, Kyler Murray. Well, I don't believe in Kyler Murray, period, right now. Like, I think last year could be a blimp or an anomaly season. So, to me, it was the Rams to fuck up. Now, with Brady back, now to me it's a 3-team race. Packers, Bucks, Rams. Like I just said, I don't really have any faith in Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs right now. So to me, it's legitimately a 2-team race. Rams, Bucks. I love the Rams, obviously. Never betting against Brady, even when you see him lose. I saw somebody post today that Brady's last couple years is lost in the playoffs, won Super Bowl. Lost in the playoffs, won Super Bowl. Lost in the playoffs, won Super Bowl. So, If that's the trend that's going to continue to hold true, then Tom Brady's getting to the Super Bowl and winning it this year. The difference is Tom Brady is not winning the Super Bowl this year. He going to get to the Super Bowl, but he losing it to Lamar Jackson, bro. I told y'all, the most disappointing thing about Tom Brady retiring was the fact that he did not retire losing the Super Bowl to Lamar Jackson or winning the Super Bowl against Josh Allen. I mean, not against Josh Allen, because I would like to see him lose against Josh Allen. But him losing it against Josh Allen wouldn't have really done nothing to my soul either, even though that's my second favorite quarterback. He needed to retire losing the Super Bowl to Lamar or winning it against somebody not Lamar. Okay? That's what needed to happen. Now that he is back, he can lose that Super Bowl to Lamar Jackson this year in the Baltimore Ravens. And all will be beautiful with the world. Now, I would hope he come back the next year and get to the Super Bowl again and win it against somebody. But he just going to have to go ahead and take this L to Lamar in the Super Bowl this year, since I know for a fact my man's coming back. But with him coming back, like I said, that make it a 3-team race. But if Deshaun Watson get traded, which I'm expecting he going to get traded to either Carolina or the Saints, both jerseys he could look clean in. I just don't know if you'll ever have a quarterback that look as clean in those Carolina threads as Cam Newton did. But Cam Newton, I'm hearing, is the Colts is interested. He'll look clean in the Colts threads. So I really think Deshaun will look sweet in those motherfucking New Orleans threads. Now, like I said, I would love to see him in Carolina. But just speaking on the threads, he look nice in those black and golds. Now, New Orleans is a lot over the cap, so I don't even know how they would be able to afford Deshaun Watson, because I saw a report where it was talking about how they done reconstructed basically all the great players on the team's contracts and shit like that. And hey, shout out to all those dudes who in New Orleans who want to stay in New Orleans by reconstructing contracts, because you know, a lot of those dudes could say, nah, I could make great money on the free agent market. If you can't afford me, release me, and I'll go make that money somewhere else. A lot of dudes could do that. I'm always an advocate of players getting as much money as you possibly can. I personally don't think players should ever fall into that trap of thinking, oh, this is a family, because as soon as you can't perform up to the level that they want you to play at, then you will not be family to them. You'll be distant family, because they will rip up that contract and get rid of your ass. So I'm one of them people who think players should always be in it for the money. I think they should always be looking at how much money they can possibly amass while playing this absolute dangerous game in this sports where you are just pawns for everybody's entertainment. In my opinion, you should try to get as much fucking money possible. Yes, at some point in time, I do believe you play this thing for rings. I'm not saying you should only be playing it for the money. But I am saying if you was a great player, go make as much money as possible, especially if you already done won a ring. If you're a player that won a ring at a young age and you was a huge part in winning that ring and you already one of the greats, yeah, just make as much money as possible. Now, see, quarterbacks don't have to worry about that, because you could be an average quarterback and make a shit ton of money in the NFL. But for other players like receivers, running, that's why I hate when people always try to tell these receivers, linebackers, middle line, all these positions where it take a lot out of you year to year. Whereas a quarterback can be great for a long time if he got a great offensive line, which is continuously interchanging. If they want to continue to replace good offensive linemen or bad offensive linemen with good ones, that can be a constant changing, rotating door. But quarterbacks, if you good, you can have a good arm. You don't have to be super athletic, because Tom Brady ain't super athletic. I love Derek Carr. Derek Carr ain't the most athletic sumbitch in the world. You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Garoppolo ain't the most athletic player in the world. But if you can throw the ball, you know, and it's not even great being athletic sometimes. Look at Carson Wentz. But when you these other players that take, especially if you like a defensive lineman, who taking you defensive linemen and offensive linemen hitting each other on every play damn near. Running backs, every time they get the ball, they know that the only way the play ends is with them getting touched, tackled, like basically getting hit to go down, or they scoring. And even when you score, sometimes you get drilled when you're going in. So a lot of these positions where dudes got to be great, they also got to take a huge physical toll on their body on a year-to-year basis. So they need to get at the peak of their careers or the height of their powers, they need to try to cash in for as much fucking money as possible. You can be a great older vet and sign with a team to ring chase if you want to be honest. To me, these dudes in their prime, see, the NBA is different also. In the NFL, when you are unbelievably great, to me, you need to strike gold in your prime. Fuck a ring, to be honest with you. And I done said it. And then, to me, in the NFL, rings don't really mean as much as they do like in the NBA because how players have a direct impact on winning those shits. And I understand players have a direct impact in the NFL, but it's a team-based thing. In the NBA, yeah, it's a team also. But if you have a unbelievable, like Giannis was such a huge part in them winning the championship, and he is a great player. Peyton Manning, I mean, no, you can have a great, because it's not the quarterback. You can have a great middle linebacker who struggled the entirety of a fucking Super Bowl, and you still win the Super Bowl by a big margin. Because it's a team. His team around him can play good. It's going to be very difficult for the Bucks to win a championship if Giannis struggled all 7 games. If this and it's not going to go 7 if he struggled every single game of the series. Like I'm talking about putting up trash numbers, struggling on every single front. The series probably won't go 7. That's how direct an impact he could have on the series by playing good or playing bad. It's not the same in the NFL. One great player who is great on a regular basis can struggle, and you can still win a game big. Not including the quarterback, because usually you do have a direct correlation on if the quarterback play good or bad. Unless you play for one of them teams where it's just not built around the quarterback. The quarterback is just a piece, not the piece. But the NFL is the NFC is going to be very interesting because Deshaun Watson come in to Carolina. My problem with Carolina is, and I'm not really big on Dennis Allen either. I think Dennis Allen is a great defensive coordinator from what he done shown the last couple of years. When he was a head coach, he wasn't good. So I'm interested to see how he done earned another shot, in my opinion, because he has been very good at defensive coordinator the last couple of years. Like, I can't sit here and say that Todd Bowles, as great as he done been defensively as the defensive coordinator, if I say he deserve another opportunity because of how great he done been defensive coordinator wise, then I cannot say the same. I can't say, oh, well, Dennis Allen don't deserve. See, to me, it ain't. When I say Josh McDaniels don't deserve another shot, that's because you got motherfuckers saying, oh, Eric Bieniemy don't deserve a shot because he not calling plays. Even though they didn't say he calling plays, people still say, well, he still got Andy Reid as a safe net. Bro, Josh McDaniels was on a team last year where he was the offensive coordinator. The offense was the last reason you could say they was winning games. And then, if you want to say, fine, let's get an offense some credit. Bruh, it wasn't because of Mac Jones. And I love Mac Jones. They did not win because of Mac Jones. They were winning because of defense, turnovers by the defense, and the running game. And when the running game stopped working, and they couldn't throw the ball, they were exposed. Because the defense couldn't keep playing at the pace they played at in the beginning of the year. And Josh Allen was like, you're not going to beat me the way you beat me in that one game earlier this season. The weather not going to be like that. And even if it is, I'm still going to put my foot in your ass. How did Josh McDaniels get that job? The Saints defense don't look good for like the last 3-4 years. Dennis Allen deserved another shot. So, with that, I'm interested in... So, when I say Dennis Allen, I agree that he deserved another shot. He's still not an offensive-minded head coach. I do not like the offense Sean Payton been running the last couple years. So if Dennis Allen is running the same offense or hire somebody or promote within that's calling basically the same shit that Sean Payton was calling, I think that is a disadvantage or a disservice to Deshaun Watson. Now, if he done hired a different offensive coordinator or if they plan on upgrading the offense when you get Deshaun, then that's a wait and see. I do not like Matt Rule's offensive play call. I do not like Matt Rule as a head coach. I do not think Matt Rule is a good head coach. I truly believe if Carolina truly wanted to land Deshaun Watson, if they truly wanted to land him without having to compete, because I think the thing that's holding Deshaun Watson from signing with Carolina right now, because I think he would have signed with Carolina already, and he might still sign with Carolina already. I think the thing that's stopping him from signing with Carolina is the fact that Matt Rule. When you look over at the Saints and you say to yourself, well, they got a better receiver overall, they got a better running back overall, they got a better defense overall, they got bigger names on their defense. Like, come on, you got Lattimore, you got Cam Jordan, you got DeMarca, what is my man's name? Demario Davis. You got so many different stud players over there with New Orleans. What would make him sign with the Panthers over New Orleans? Because you could say, well, Dennis Allen is technically a new coach because this is second shot around. Yeah, but he done been in the NFL for a while now. He done had success in the NFL at coordinating at least. Matt Rule has not had any success in the NFL since coming in. He is not a good head coach in my opinion. He's not even on the fringe of being a good head coach. To me, if Carolina really wanted to, because I keep hearing these reports, they done had massive deals that they putting together to get Deshaun Watson. Why did you not fire Matt Rule and bring in a coach that actually know what the fuck they doing and done been here before, so you could sit him down and say, Deshaun Watson will be working with somebody who done had success in the NFL, who know what they doing, who is around a bunch of guys who know what they doing, and this is somebody who we believe you can rely on. You bringing in a quarterback who didn't have more success than the fucking head coach, and the quarterback ain't even been to a Super Bowl yet. He done already could say he done had been more successful than your head coach. So I'm not really up. I don't really think, like, if I'm Deshaun Watson, the Matt Rule thing, because I'm gonna just be honest with you. If I take out the fact of how loyal the fans were to Cam Newton, that's the only thing that's got me signing with Carolina. Now, I think Charlotte is a beautiful area. I done been to Charlotte plenty of times, but that's just because I done been to Charlotte. I've never been to New Orleans. There's a lot of people that tell you New Orleans is look beautiful, and I'm pretty sure it is. But if I'm Deshaun Watson and I'm looking at both of these situations without that Cam Newton information, I'm signing with the Saints. They got better players, in my opinion. They got a better culture at the moment, and I trust they coach more than I trust Matt Rule. Because even though Dennis Allen done had bad seasons as a head coach, he done had a lot of success with the Saints' defense. He done been promoted, so I know the players in here going to vouch for him and they like him. Because if they didn't, he wouldn't have been made the head coach. That is a culture that's already been built. I just have to come in and be great and play up to my standards and up to the standards they expect of me, and I'll fit right in. Whereas in Carolina, you'll probably have to go and start a new culture, form a new culture, because they already losing a lot of the players that was on the team. I don't know what would make him sign with Carolina right now on the outside looking in, aside from the fact that the fans were hella loyal to Cam, so they'll probably more than likely be hella loyal to Deshaun. You take that out of the equation, why would he sign with Carolina? Like, what is there for Carolina? Because you could say, they got Christian McCaffrey. Well, they'll probably lose Christian McCaffrey in order to get Deshaun Watson, because that'll probably be something you trade in order to get him. And then you'll say, they have what's my man's name? DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Well, you're probably going to also lose one of those two dudes in order to bring over Deshaun Watson also. Whereas you're probably not losing Michael Thomas in order to bring, or Alvin Kamara to bring over Deshaun Watson. Now, you could end up losing one of those two dudes, but I just don't think you would, because why would you? Carolina cannot offer them anything of significant value as far as like that. If I throw in Michael Thomas in the deal, I've already done killed myself, because yes, I am competing for both of these with Carolina for the deal. But why would I throw him in immediately without making them throw in anything when I know Michael Thomas is the trump card? Why would I throw Alvin Kamara in the deal when I know that is a trump card? I know that's better than what they can offer. So why don't I use other pieces until I absolutely have to get to that? You don't start your best offer off first. So because I think it could be that type of trade type thing, I just think it's highly unlikely that the Saints end up giving up Alvin Kamara and or Michael Thomas. Whereas I think the Panthers could have a great shot at giving up Christian McCaffrey, who to me is the most tradable of everybody in this. As far as big names, I think Christian McCaffrey the most tradable of all of them, because he's injury prone. So the Panthers would be trying to get off of that contract and off of the fact that they got an injury prone running back. Plus, they got Chuba Hubbard in the who they drafted last year, who was a good running back who they could plug in right now to be the starting running back. Now, DJ Moore is underrated as some people think he could be. He would be a piece that you would throw in a trade like this if you the Panthers to try to entice the Texans to give you Deshaun. Because what you're saying is this is a young receiver who has all pro potential, who you could mold into a great player, to have for your next franchise quarterback. So essentially, Carolina would be giving away all, and I don't think they would end up trading Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. I think if Carolina was to end up trading for Deshaun Watson, because of the lack of Deshaun, for one, it'd be hard to have to do that because Deshaun Watson got to approve of the trade. So if why would he agree to come into a team where you trading your best assets away, and he come into the team with basically nothing? Now, granted, he want to get out of Houston, so it probably won't matter ultimately. But to me, for Carolina to be able to convince the Texans, like, yo, in order for them to put together a monster trade, to me that would include Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore. That's the biggest of the things. Because listen, draft picks do not matter if they trade a draft pick and they bring over Deshaun Watson and he don't suck. Because if he win, then you're not even getting a good, like, you could probably flip that first round into a good pick ultimately, or trade it, could put it with a package to trade it for something better. But ultimately, you're probably not getting a high draft pick if Deshaun go to Carolina and ball out. So what you would be looking at is, I want players. Because you're probably going to want to put something around Davis Mills, because that's probably who you're going to have as your quarterback this year. If that is your quarterback this year, which I don't understand why they... See, if I'm the Texans, what I would do is this. I would say Deshaun Watson is up for trade, right? Whoever I'm trading him for, I'm bringing a quarterback back in exchange. The reason I'm bringing a quarterback back in exchange is because I want to bring over Jimmy Garoppolo eventually. I mean, a receiver in exchange is because I want to bring Jimmy Garoppolo over to the team. Because if I can bring Jimmy Garoppolo over to the team with a weapon already in place, then I got a little bit more faith in Jimmy G. And if I can bring over Christian McCaffrey and a weapon, that'll be even better. Because now I got a running game I can hopefully rely on so that Jimmy G ain't got to throw the ball as much. If I was the fucking 49ers, what I would have did is this. I would have offered up Trey Lance or Jimmy G, whichever one they wanted. I would have traded it Brandon Ayuk, Jimmy G, or Trey Lance, like I said, plus Brandon Ayuk and some draft picks in order to bring over Deshaun Watson. And I guarantee you that would have been a trade that could have been pulled off. And then I would have traded whichever of the two quarterbacks is left, because I'm imagining it would have been Jimmy G, because I'm imagining the Texans would have taken Trey Lance as the young prospect. Then I would have flipped Jimmy G to the Panthers, or to the team that needed Deshaun Watson but didn't end up getting him. See, to me, the 49ers should flex their leverage like that, because they technically have two quarterbacks. One of which you got trade value because you know he a good quarterback. You would hope you have a system to put him in Jimmy G. And then the other one is an unknown. You just know he was a high draft pick. He unknown. He still got high trade value right now because you really haven't seen anything that would make you say his value done been killed yet. I think you could flip him to a Texans team for Deshaun Watson, to be honest with you. That's just my thoughts. But who knows? The NFC, either way, is wide open in my opinion. I'm not wide open. It's a 4-team race. Bucks, Rams, Packers, and the 49ers, depending on what they can get out of Trey Lance. I'm not saying the Cardinals, because even though I know some people are like, oh, the Cardinals, I just think the Cardinals this past year was an anomaly. I don't think that's actually a good team. Now, I could be wrong. That could be a good team next year. Kyler could keep growing it, blah, blah, blah. I would like to see it first. I would just like to see it. And for the AFC, that thing done got real hot in the kitchen. It remains hot in the kitchen. That's why Brady is smart. Brady was sitting back with them his annoying ass kids, man. And he was like, oh, my fucking Jesus, I can't do this. He was like, I can't do this. You know, daughter came home. Oh, what we doing tomorrow, Daddy? I don't know what the fuck you doing, but I'm going to be at training camp. He couldn't take it no more. Asking about homework questions. He probably sitting down in the front room watching his highlights and got his son or his daughter in there just asking him just stupid questions. The question's probably not even stupid. It's just questions that he just got no time for right now. Just he does not care about the algebra, or he could care less. Like, bro, my man Brady really said, bro, what is one more missed anniversary? What's one more missed birthday? I done missed a bunch of them already. What's one more, bro? What's one more? And I respect that. If anything, Brady done showed us he is not just the GOAT of GOATs on the football field, but he is the GOAT of GOATs off the football field. And for that, I salute you, Mr. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. And I knew I was finna call that motherfucker Squidward. I knew Skip was gonna have a fucking orgasm on Undisputed this morning, but shout out to Big E again, man. Prayers up for Big E, man. I know he done gave the reports and all that, but I just don't want my man's career to change in no type of way because of that neck injury. So keep sending them Hail Marys up for Big E. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all for joining me, man, on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. And blow one for me, man. Have a dope day, man. Saint out.
How the fuck I pay a couple card notes and ain't even whipping? How the fuck I'm putting food on the table while I ain't living? Cursed from being alone with these dreams of a happy home. So when I think it's really love, I give them anything they want. I got stupid shit I did as a kid defining me lately. When I try to open up a new chapter, they still hate me. My mental, my only drug, so I'm doing this shit alone. Last time I fought depression and she got me on my zone. One bad move for thuggery, hit record from luxury. Pop said some shit that stuck with me. All it take is a mustard seed. Yesterday I caught $40 of pot those. Homie